The morning I realized the HOA had built 96 homes on my pasture, I was holding my father's old coffee mug, the same one he used when we watched the sun rise over these hills. Out beyond the fence, a bulldozer chewed up the same ground where he'd once taught me to drive a stick. I didn't shout. I didn't throw the mug. I just set it down on the porch rail and listened to the sound of my family's history being buried under concrete. They called it Phase 3, new roofs flashing in neat rows. White mailboxes lined up like soldiers. A shiny guardhouse at the road, like my land had always been theirs to guard. A banner flapped in the wind, whispering Oak's modern living, classic charm. My oak trees had been whispering since before their grandparents were born. The charm? That was the lie. By noon, a woman with a laminated badge rolled up my driveway in a golf cart. "Good morning. I'm Denise with the HOA." She said it like she was delivering good news. "We noticed your fence crosses into our community's greenbelt." "My fence," I said, "has stood there since 1979. She smiled, that polite, recorded kind of smile. "We'll need it moved back. It's out of compliance." I walked her to the corner post my grandfather set by hand. He mixed that concrete in a rusted wheelbarrow with my father. Their initials are still pressed in the base. CM&RM. Denise crouched, read the letters, then straightened up without losing that smile. "I understand sentimental value, sir, but the board has standards." Standards. That word tasted like sand in my teeth. That night I pulled out the old steel box from under my bed. I spread the papers across the kitchen table like a deck of sacred cards, the land patent from 1911. The 1956 deed my grandfather recorded. The survey that starts with the sycamore on the bend. I'd memorized that line as a boy. My land was older than their bylaws, older than their meetings, older than their golf carts. Next morning, I drove into town and handed those papers to the county recorder, same clerk I'd known for years. Gray hair, readers on a chain. She looked over the pages, then frowned. "You're not going to like this," she said. She slid a printed plat across the counter. The developer's subdivision lines sat over my land like a spider web. The HOA's developer replatted this tract 2 years ago. County approved it? Without me? She hesitated. "There's a signature here." Someone signed as owner's agent. Cold. That's what the air felt like. Who signed it? She named some big city attorney I'd never met, a man who'd never set foot on this dirt. My pulse kicked once, sharp as a nail strike. Driving home, past the new homes. Kids on bikes, sprinklers ticking, a landscaper waving like we were neighbors. None of it was their fault. They'd just bought a dream. The rot was higher up. That night, my wife joined me on the back steps. Cardigan pulled tight, eyes on the half-built roofs. "This land is our story," she said softly. "But we can't win this by yelling." "I'm not yelling," I told her. "I'm waiting." "Waiting for what?" "For them to finish?" Her brows knit. "Finish. Every nail. Every road. Every street light. Once it's all on record, then I'll pull out the deed in court." The weeks crawled by. Open houses, balloons, new families moving in. I walked the fence at dawn, touching each post, whispering a prayer my mother taught me. The HOA letters kept coming. Fines for my fence. Fines for my pickup parked visibly. And one warning about my father's American flag non-uniform display. That one I pinned to the fridge. Didn't even reply. Then Denise came back, this time with a man in a navy blazer. HOA president. Soft hands, city cologne. "Sir," he said, "we'd like to be good neighbors. But you're resisting community standards?" "This community," I told him, "is sitting on my well." He laughed, actually laughed. "Sir, there's a municipal hookup." I led them to the stone spring house my great-grandfather built. Cool air breathed out the doorway. "That line feeds your entire grid," I said. "You tapped my well. There's no easement on the deed." They exchanged glances. "Our legal team will review," the president muttered. Denise didn't smile this time. By the time Phase 3 was done, 96 houses, a clubhouse, and a proud sign stood there. Private roads HOA maintained. I let them hang that sign. I waited until every inspection passed. Then I filed my lawsuit. The summons landed like thunder. Developer, HOA, the law firm that forged the signature. Come Tuesday, the courtroom was full. Homeowners, lawyers, half the county. Even the little boy I'd seen riding his bike sat in the back eating a cookie. Their attorneys strutted in. Slick suits. Fast talk. They said I'd slept on my rights. They said progress, public interest, community reliance. Words built to wear you down. The judge just listened, face unreadable. Then it was my turn. I didn't bring drama. I brought the steel box. My great-grandfather claimed this spring in 1911, I said. My grandfather recorded this deed in 1956. My father bled on that fence mixing concrete. This land doesn't belong to a board that votes on mailbox paint. I laid the deed on the table. The parchment glowed pale under the lights. Then the well map, the title chain, the bank letter notarized by a father and daughter 40 years apart. The room went quiet. The old county clerk took the stand in her Sunday dress. That developer's signature, she said, pointing. Wasn't the owner's. The replat should never have been accepted. Gasps. Objections. The judge called in the county attorney, who admitted they'd failed to notify me, the record owner. A legal hole wide enough to drive a truck through. You could feel it shift, the confidence draining from the HOA row. Denise stared at her badge like it burned. The president wiped sweat from his temple. The judge took a week to decide. I barely slept. Coyotes cried in the distance. Somewhere down the hill, music from a new backyard party floated up through the dark. One night I found a paper boat in my irrigation. It's a kid's toy from those same homes. I nudged it back into the water and watched it drift under the moonlight. On the 8th day, we reconvened. The judge's voice was steady, like rain on tin. The court finds the plaintiff the rightful owner of the disputed tract. The replat was recorded without notice and is void. Could have heard a pin drop. I didn't cheer. Didn't gloat. I just breathed, felt the ground under my boots again. The ruling was fair. The developer would pay damages. The HOA could either buy lawful easements at market value or reroute every utility. A special master would oversee boundary corrections and fence restoration. In the spring, the heart of it all was placed under my management with strict protection. The homes would stay. Families needed roofs, not punishment, but justice. Justice was written back into the soil. Outside the courthouse, a few neighbors approached me. A dad holding his son's cookie, a nurse still in scrubs, an older widow with careful hair. We didn't know, they said. You bought homes, I told them. That's not a sin. We shook hands under the Texas sun, not enemies, just neighbors now. Denise came over quietly, badge flipped backward. I learned more about land today than in 5 years of board meetings. She said, that evening, I raised my father's flag again. Sat on the porch with that same coffee mug. The roofs below caught the sunset like sleeping fish scales. The air smelled of cut grass and wet stone. The lake, my spring pond, was calm again. And for the first time in years, so was I. Papers matter. But patience matters more. Some fights don't need shouting. Sometimes standing up for what's right just means standing steady until the truth catches up. Have you ever faced an HOA like this? Share your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you believe some fights are worth having, hit subscribe and let's stand up together.